Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the D Street. Well, it's panned out to be a fantastic Monday. If you look at the Nifty, we are hovering around 25,000. So we've stayed put after hitting that 25,000 mark right in the open. Even though we did see some choppiness around the board, but we are back above that on 157 points higher in trade. On the Nifty, this is largely led by a broad-based rally that we are seeing across the board, be it the banking names, IT names, autos, all of them are driving the show in trade today. In fact, all the sectors are up into the green despite the India VIX also up by about 3.6% at 17.9 levels. So there is this volatility fear that's on the edge, but at the same time all the sectors are hunky-dory. The three top sectors clearly are autos, which are up by about 1.1%, metals that are shining bright over a percent higher, IT that's up by 1% as well, and the banking index, which is up 0.3%, although there has been slight profit booking from the high levels on the banking names. Let's look at the top Nifty names right now. M&M 2.5% higher, top mover right now. You also have Bajaj Auto, JSW Steel, Hindalco from the metals pack, that is definitely higher in trade as well. Trent, Nestle, these are the other top stocks. Even Tata Motors, for that instance, is hovering higher by 1.5%. On the lower end, it is eternal yet again, over a 4% cut that's coming in. Remember, with that MSCI and FTSE reduction on the weightage front, which has, instilled some fresh fears of outflows of funds from Zomato. This is something that is keeping the lid on the upside that we had been seeing on Eternal. Sun Pharma, Ultratech Cement, Kotak Mahindra Bank and Power Grid are some of the other stocks that are among the top laggards today. PSU stocks are higher by about 0.5%. You have even the railway stocks doing well today. Rail Vikas Nigam is up by 3.5%. BHEL, Concor, IRFC, PFC. These are some of the other names that are doing well in the PSU space. In fact, in the FNO space as well, it is Hudco that's the top mover within the PSU's pack. You also have Divis Laboratories that's doing very well. Solar Industries is another one that's also pulling up in trade. So that's how the action is panned out. Let's also look at the Nifty 500 basket to see how some of those stocks are stacked up in trade. We have a lot of names that are doing well. Eamco Elecon is up by almost 9% in trade today. You have Cosmo First that's been doing well for the last couple of sessions, and you have another 10% higher. G Vernova TND India is up 10% in trade. Carnex Microsystems is up 10%. You also have names like BEML, that's actually up by 12.5% higher. Shilpa Medicare, Camlin Fine Sciences, you have Saxoft, you have Ester Industries. So many names that are actually up in double digits, almost 17-18% higher in trade. That's the kind of momentum that is getting built on at this point in time. And let's welcome our guest on board. We have Brijesh Ail, Head of Technicals and Derivatives Retail Research at IDBI Capital, now joining in. Brijesh, warm welcome. I think the key question is, what next after 25,000 has now been achieved easily? Now, do you think this can carry on? And we are now about 1,200, 1,300 points away from the all-time high levels. Do you see that coming in soon?
Uh, Hi, afternoon, Sakshi. So yes, I do believe that there will be a positive momentum in the market because if looking at the Friday's closing data, what the observation was, the 25,000 power writers have shifted their position from 25,000 to 25,200. So I do believe that this shift in range will be there. 25,200 will be the next level where I think slightly some profit booking or maybe it will move sideways. But yes, 25,200 is the immediate, and maybe if that move is extended, then 25,500. So view is positive, and I think we should be heading slowly higher.
Okay, got that. So, Brijesh, any key stocks that you are watching out for the last half an hour of trade today?
Yeah, I think these stocks like Indian Hotel, Tata Chemical, CANS, these are the stocks, container corporations. These are the stocks which are, say, are having the momentum breadth. So I think CAN specifically, I think can see a very good move. Today, it is the formation is quite strong. We can, and I think we can see another 100, 120 points kind of a move in CANS. Container corporation is something which is also looking very strong on charts. So I think that momentum will be there. So somebody wants to take the overnight bet. So CANS and container corporation can be one.
Okay, got that. So we'll keep an eye out on these stocks. Let's also look at some of the other pockets that are buzzing and we'll start taking Brijesh's view on that. Brijesh, autos and autos all the way, especially two-wheelers that are driving the show like Bajaj Auto today. Even within the four-wheelers, you have M&M and Tata Motors that are doing very well in trade. How are you looking at this fresh momentum in the autos? Is it here to stay and would you build on to some of the positions?
Before the auto would start, the two-wheeler space was already booming up. Like previously in the last week, Hero and Bajaj was already making like they were having a quite a good volume. So I think that momentum is going to last. So at least for this monthly expiry. So this momentum will be there. M&M was something fresh which is given a breakout. So M&M can also continue. Only for the case of Tata Motors, it could not be a big move, but then definitely with the all the auto packs, I think Tata Motors can also see some 3-4% kind of a upside momentum. This pack, auto pack looks positive.
Okay, got that. Let's also discuss metals. That's the other top moving sector. We are seeing JSW Steel after the earnings up by 2.3%. Hindalco continuing with its move from last week again. What is giving you the confidence of entering afresh at these levels within metals?
Uh, we would talk of Hindustan Copper because Hindustan Copper has gained a very strong breakout from the level of 230. The next level for the Hindustan Copper is somewhere close to 260. So that's a quite a good upside. So Hindustan Copper is in our radar. And then comes the Vedanta. Vedanta is something which is not given a breakout. I think if further the momentum is, we see the momentum in the metals, then Vedanta would give some upside positive trigger.
Okay, fair point. So that's the view that's coming in on the metal space as well. Let's also discuss some of the other pockets. I wanted to talk about some stocks before we talk sectors. Today it's BEML that's rallying very sharply in trade today. We have of course been seeing the entire defense move over the last many weeks now, 2-3 weeks now. But it's BEML that's actually gone up on huge volumes today, almost 12.5% higher in trade right now. And if we look at the last 5 days, I think it's the today's momentum that's really been defining. Before that, on if you look at May 23rd, it was hovering around 36.51, and suddenly within those 2 days, you see such a sharp spike on the stock. BEML, do you think it is just the beginning of a momentum, or do you think a large part of good news is now priced in?
It will be slightly difficult to say whether it's a beginning of the momentum, but what one has to do is like close to 4500 level, maybe 4450, 4500. This was the level previously from where the profit booking came. So I think some ease off or maybe some partial profit booking should be done because I think uh, maybe it's too early. But then for me, if I need to take a view close to that 4450, 4500, I'll be doing a partial profit booking.
Okay. BML, which expands to Bharat Earth Movers Limited viewers, has reported its numbers, and that's what is kicking the stock higher. You can see an almost 12% year-on-year uptick on profit after tax for the company for fourth quarter, which is now coming at 287.5 odd crore rupees for Q4 of FY25. We are also seeing that the revenue from operations have also seen a surge of about over 9.2% year-on-year to now 1652 odd crore rupees as well. We are also seeing that this is despite the overall expenses for the company also went up by about 9 odd percent. But this is clearly as a reaction to the stock, the earnings that have come in, that the stock price has been surging right now. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on that. Let's also look at some of the other names. How are you looking at Hoodco afresh? It's the top mover in FNO today. What do you make of Hoodco? Remember when there used to be an entire PSU move? Hoodco used to be one stock that we used to track on an everyday basis. But after a long haul, finally it started to move yet again.
The structure for the Woodco is extremely positive. I think now it is coming out of that sideways consolidation. On the weekly time frame, today is the first day of the week, but still it looks quite strong on charts. I think Woodco in the near term can go back to 260, 265 levels. So it looks quite strong positive. So somebody even wants to take the position for the next expiry. I think Woodco looks very strong.
Hutco looks very strong. Okay, we'll keep an eye out on that and keep checking on to this. At this point in time, it's at 238 odd levels, so we'll definitely keep an eye out on how things are shaping up. In FNO, it is at 240 odd levels as well. IT is another story that's doing well today. The index itself is up by about 1 odd percent right now. The top movers include, of course, some of those mid cap names like Coforge, 1.5% higher. Then you also have within the large caps HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, LTI, Mindtree, Wipro also coming up. Oracle Financial Services is another one. Persistent emphasis, that's also moving in trade. Brijesh, are you heavily invested in IT right now, or are you being very selective?
Yeah, we are very selectively. As you said, one is the Coforge. I think Coforge we can see a good momentum. From the current level, it can go back to 8,800, 8,900. And the
Okay.
second one, when there is the strength which is coming in the persistent. So this stock has already given a breakout, and for the last couple of days it was moving sideways, and now we again expect that breakout to follow. So from this level of 5680, I think this can go back to 6,000, 6,200 level. So specifically, Coforge and Persistence are the two stocks which we are liking.
Okay, fair point. We'll keep that in focus as well. Let's also look at some of the other pockets then. Let's talk about railway stocks. You know, we've been focusing a lot on defense, but railways with that fresh momentum, do you think it has the strength to carry on? I mean, names like RVNL, JWL, Titagar for that instance, even IRFC, IRCTC for that matter. What is really looking good?
I think, see, this sector is in focus, so the continuation of the trend might be there, but then taking a long bet would be slightly difficult because not too very sure okay, how far this rally could sustain. Titagar was one stock which a lot of people have got stuck. So now there is a momentum where it might also be in day when we are getting an exit opportunity. So specifically for Titagar, 1055 is the level where 200 moving average is placed. So and most of the stocks previously the lot of people have got stuck in that this basically in the railway sector. So we are of the opinion that this opportunity can be used to take some profits from wherever they have done some averaging to take out some profits and then to stay then to understand whether the how long this trend will continue. But at this point of time, uh, partial profit booking is advised.
Okay, fair point. Let's also look at some of the other names. I think it's FMCG also that's pulling up in trade today. Of course, last week it was just names like ITC that went up, but today we are also seeing momentum build on Marico, for instance, Nestle, HUL from the large caps that's also moving. Patanjali Foods is up by about 2.3%. You have Britannia, Godrej Consumer Products, Tata Consumer, all of them up and about in trade. Brijesh, are you getting the confidence in FMCG, or do you think this is just momentary?
No, I think in case with regard to FMCG, I think there can be a fresh momentum can be there. As you said, Nestle has given a breakout, range breakout. Marico is also something which is giving a very strong formation. So Nestle, Marico, and Godrej Consumer, Godrej CP, the consumer product is also somewhat the structure is very positive. So I think the momentum will follow, and this sector may be one of the sector which may be on the may close on the higher side. So the formation is quite very strong for the FMCG.
Okay, got that. Let's also focus on stocks within the Nifty 500 basket. So many of them that I also named in my commentary that are rallying very sharply in trade. Let me talk about some of the stocks here. From the pharma space, I'm going to focus on MCure Pharma. I do know, Brijesh, that you don't have a very long, detailed historical chart on this one. But there is this fresh momentum on MCure from last 1 week that we have seen, especially in the last couple of days. The stock has jumped 31% in just the last 3 to 4 sessions, viewers. I think just about 3 sessions, that we have seen. The stock was at 1100 and it's jumped up to 1400. So it's a very, very strong move right from 21st May. You can actually see that surge. Just wanted to ask, technically, how are you reading into this?
So I previously the level was 1480, 1500 was the level from where the selling came. And from since from the technical point of view, whenever there's this kind of sharp up moves are there, the prices tend to trade far away from the averages. So normally in that kind of scenario, either there is a profit booking or the prices move sideways. So it is advisable to take the profits, and whenever there is a small correction or whenever there is a meaningful correction, if somebody having a long term view, they can re-enter. But definitely at this point, I think one should take the profits and then understand whether what kind of trend it will be.
Okay. Remember, viewers, this fresh bout of momentum only came in after the earnings were reported by the company. And on May 23rd, the stock was at a 10% circuit after the earnings. And we also saw brokerage houses penciling in higher targets for this one. It was Kotak Institutional Equities that raised its target price on the stock, maintaining a buy with a target price of 1625 that they revised from 1515 earlier, which actually meant at that point in time 3 days ago, when on after the earnings, when Kotak came out, they were implying a 39% upside to the stock, and already from that we are already seeing a 30% uptick that has already been reported, and we'll definitely look at what Brijesh has highlighted for the stock. So keep an eye out on MQR as well. Let me also talk about few other stocks within this basket of Nifty 500 stocks. I'm going to be pulling up the stock GE Vernova TND India. Today it's at a 10% circuit, and this stock, have you been tracking this at all? Do you think this is one of the first moves that we are seeing on this one?
Uh, Not exactly, because the stock, the way the stock has been started moving, it's quite be surprising, because from the level from where the selling came
Yeah.
was 2100 mark, and now surprisingly it is back to those points. So as a because technically it won't be like I won't be very able to say exactly how it back, but it is a gap up trading. Maybe during this week it may outperform, so maybe closer to 2100, 2150. Some profit booking should be done, because there is always a probability, because whenever there is a such this kind of gaps are there, the prices do have a tendency to come back and to fill the gap area. So doing a partial profit booking is always advisable.
Okay, got that. So I hope this has also helped you out. Some more names that are getting added onto the list, and the names that I mentioned. Subros Limited, 9% higher in trade. So you're seeing a strong momentum onto that. Gopal Snacks, 10% circuit. Then you also have Nahar Poly, 11% higher. Apart from the names that I took, there is also names. So some many such names we mentioned, Shilpa Medicare, all of those names we mentioned, Khaitan India. There are up many of those names that are also up and about in trade. So it's a very strong day of trade in terms of momentum stocks that we are finding. Let's also focus on some of the other spaces. Pharma is something that's focus on that. Even though the quantum of hike on the pharma index as a whole may be just about 0.2%, but many stocks are actually garnering traction. Divis Laboratories, for that instance, fresh highs today is something that we saw. What will you say on Divis Laboratories, Brijesh?
See, Davis has given a breakout in the multi time frame. From the monthly point of view, it has given a breakout. So Davis is one such stocks. So whenever there is any correction, one should look to add the long bets. From the current level of 6,700, this can go back to 7,500 from the directional point of view, because from the multi time frame, that's from the monthly point of view, it has given a breakout. So it's a one of the very strongest bet in the pharma space. Beside this, look, this Ipca Laboratories is something which is also it is on the list. Closer to 1460, 1470, there is a good demand zone. So I think once we sustain about this point, Ipca can also see a very strong upside on the higher side.
Okay, got that. Let's also talk about the stocks on the downside as well. It's important to track both sides of the markets. On the downside, Eternal is something that is catching our attention yet again. 4.5% of a downfall. This is of course largely led with fears of huge amount of outflows that can happen because of reduced weightage on MSCI and FTSE exchanges as well. Remember, earlier the fall was being seen because of shareholder approval on limiting the foreign ownership to 49.5%. And now there are fears of huge outflows that could happen from this week itself on Zomato. What would your suggestion be on 226? Should one just look at it as an opportunity to buy the dip and things will carry on later on, or do you think some more pressure can come in?
I would like to have a wait and watch kind of a strategy because the level of 220 and 215, these are the levels which has previously acted as a demand zone. So with the some negative news, this may come back to 210, 215, 220 levels. If those levels are respected during the week, if the weekly close doesn't come below 215, then I'm willing to take a risk and go long in the eternal because somewhere we do believe that this stock can go back to 250, 260 level. So there is a trading opportunity in this stock. So one has to take the weekly close. So 215, maybe on extreme and 210. If that doesn't, if that level is respected, then I think one can take the long bet in eternal.
Okay, fair points there. Let's also look at some of the other important aspects. I wanted to discuss the capital markets related story with you, Brijesh. We've been seeing what's happening with BSE. There was a bonus split, and again, the stock is back in momentum. What's happening with CDSL? Today, Angel One is down. In fact, in FNO, it's one of the top losers. But this entire space, where is your confidence in the current setup of the stocks?
So Angel One, I think there is a profit booking which is acting on. So I think this can come back to close somewhere to the 2,800 on an immediate basis. So that is the demand or maybe the support level for Angel One. If it's free, CDSL is something which has not given any kind of correction, and it was previous in the last week it broke above the 200 moving average, and it is now consolidating. So I think there can be a further upside. We can talk about another 100, 150 points more in the CDSL. So CDSL is looking good. So even now the fresh breakout has not come. So somebody wants to take a bet on the CDSL. Yes, there is opportunity. BSE, I would be little bit cautious. Some profit booking closer to 2,300, 2,250. If I go get that kind of opportunity, then I would like to take some longs in the BSE. Cements.
Oh.
Cements is again some cements also is something which was in my radar, but the level to make end is closer to 3,100 level. So if I see those levels, then cements I would like to take the re-entry.
And which cement stock will you like? Do you like JK Cement after earnings, or would you stick with large caps like an Ultratech Cement, Grasim? How would you navigate through this?
I think I'll stick with the large cap because whatever the move has to come in the JK, after the numbers, the stock is already moved up. So now catching now at this level it won't be advisable. JK and Grassing would be the two bets where I think I can stay invested, and if somebody wants to take the fresh bet because the near term outlook for the Ultratech would be somewhere around 12,000 levels. So I think there's opportunity in Ultratech. So it would be also a safe bet.
Okay, we'll note that down as well. Let's also look at some of the other stocks. Again, in the Nifty 500 basket, you also have IFB Agro that's pulling up now 10% higher in trade. So keep looking at all of these stocks. They keep coming onto the radar. Strong momentum that can be seen. Ester Industries is another one that's up and about in trade. Cosmo First. That's also moving up. Solar Industries continues to be one of the top stocks in the defense pack. Trent is moving up 5526 right now, 1.5% higher. Brijesh, Trent, any suggestion on this one?
Yeah, chartically it looks positive. This can also one of the candidate where we can view this as a BTST kind of a structure. Formation is quite very strong. The previous resistance was 5,700 mark. So directionally, this can go back to 5,700. And from the BTST point also, we can for 100, 150 points on an immediate basis, we can also play that thing also.
Okay, but at the perfect time you've talked about this BTST trade trend. Anything else that you'd like to add to the list of BTST stocks?
I'm keeping a watch on two banks. Basically, one is the Bank of India. So the structure for the Bank of India is extremely positive. It is just moving sideways. We have an understanding that during this week there can be a good upside in the Bank of India, and then one more stock that is Federal Bank. So Federal is also which is today it has not given a breakout, just it is moving sideways. But then during the week, I think Federal Bank can also give some good upside. One of the reason for the Federal is the stock at the 200. There's a lot of put writers are there, so they are extremely. It's a very strong base at 200 level. So breaking 200 on an immediate basis doesn't look like. So it's a very good risk reward ratio, and we can play close to 210. This kind of bet can be there. So the move has not started, but Federal and Bank of India can be kept on the watch list.
Okay. One more space that's buzzing is the tourism and hospitality space. Hotel stocks are up and about today. Smaller ones like Chalet Hotels, Oriental Hotels, Apollo Sinduri Hotels, they are all up and about. Remember, today is when Leela Hotels, a company, the parent company Schloss Bangalore is actually opening up its IPO, and therefore there is this entire focus on the hotels and hospitality space as well. I want to ask you, Brijesh, so far whenever we have discussed this theme, it's been either IHCL or Lemon Tree. Those have been one of the top favorites of the analysts thus far. Do you think the dynamics will change with Leela Hotels coming in, or would you still prefer the ones which are listed?
Uh, Maybe I think still the preference for the lemon tree and Indian Auto will always be there, as we do have this fundamental coverage as well. I think, but somewhere if, too early to say. But then lemon tree is something which is cooking up a lot. So maybe in the near future it can be some kind of a not exactly a multi-bagger, but it looks quite very strong and can see some good numbers on the higher side. So lemon tree, we are extremely bullish and we are having a long positions.
You're having a long position there. Okay, 4 minutes to go. Let's discuss now, Brijesh, on the markets yet again. Many investors may be looking to follow a strategy for this entire week to follow. It's started off on a very high note, which is good, but this is the expiry week for the series as well. So, inching closer to that, there could be some heightened volatility. What we also want to see is that, it's not that today is the first day when 25,000 has been hit. It was hit at least many sessions earlier, but it was every time it was touch and go. So we want to know whether 25,000 this time around will actually stay put, or is it again going to be a mood swing for the Nifty? How would you really look at it?
Uh, I see that exactly what when I started. So on the Friday, the 25,000, the call writers are shifting the position. So this makes me feel that 25,200, that should be the immediate upside. So I was expecting market to go somewhere close to those points, but some of the profit booking came. I'm still positive on the market. I think one can take the call option also, 25,000 call option for the current series, buy the 25,000 call option and sell 25,200 call option. So this kind of spread can also be done, and somebody who doesn't want to take this kind of risk can easily take the long bet, because at least during the week, and we can easily see another 200 points on the Nifty. This is the cash level which I'm speaking about. So 25,200 is what I'm watching for the Nifty.
Okay, fair point. Well, we will thank you then, Brijesh, for being with us on the show today and guiding us through the closing hour, and of course sharing with us an outlook on the markets. 25,000 is with us. We've celebrated that, but let's see whether this holds on at this point in time. 145 points higher for the Nifty. We're just hovering around it. Matters of just or 1 or 2 minutes to help us understand whether we will have 25K on the closing level. But it's panned out to be a largely good day. It's just not about the number 25,000, but see that, how many sectors, how many kind of stocks do support the kind of momentum today. Let's look at what really led the Nifty higher to 25,000. Banks, ICICI Bank contributing 17 points on the higher end, ITC contributing 13 points, M&M contributing 13 points, Infosys contributing 13 points, L&T about 12 points, Reliance about 12 points, Bharti Airtel about 9 points. Those are the stocks that really contributed with terms of weightage on the Nifty. The top movers today were Bajaj Auto, 2.2% higher, JSW Steel, M&M, Nestle, and of course names like even M&M, we've seen Trent, HCL Technologies, Hindalco, those were the other top movers. On the downward end, Eternal, top loser today. Kotak Mahindra Bank, lagged by about 0.5%. Power Grid, NTPC post earnings did slip, profit booking. Ultratech Cement also about 0.5% lower. Tata Steel, Grasim, these were the other top laggards. All the sectors end in the green. That's a positive. IT sector moved up over 1% higher. Autos drive the show as well, 1% up. FMCG 1% higher, metals almost 1% higher, real estate and even the broader markets, mid and small caps did contribute to the gains in trade today. Banks, although the Nifty bank just ends 0.3% up in trade, slight losses that can be seen from the day's highest point, but you can actually see all the three constituents still ending higher. Private banks, PSU banks and financial services. Hoodco remains the top mover on the FNO space. Divis Laboratories, Solar Industries were the other top movers. On the downward side, Balkrishna Industries, an impact of the earnings 7% lower. Eternal 5% lower on FNO. Dalmia Bharat, Angel One were the other top laggards at this point in time. The screen is frozen 24,996. Within 10 minutes or so, you'll finally see the adjustments take shape. But we've celebrated 25,000 throughout the course of the day. Most of the experts that came in on our platform today do believe that the momentum is here to stay. We could see the markets inching towards 26,000. Remember, the all-time high of the Nifty is 26,277. And we'll have to see that after a long haul of consolidation of last 8 months odd, will we finally see a momentum coming back to the markets. Stay tuned with us on to Business Today Television. Even beyond the stock market hours, you can get to a recap on what's really happening in the world of business and economics. So stay tuned for that, and many thanks for tuning in for now.
A massive milestone in India's economic march. India has become the world's 4th largest economy, overtaking Japan, storming into the elite 4 trillion club. Niti Aayog cited IMF data which shows India has edged past Japan.
We are the 4th largest economy as I speak. We are a $4 trillion economy as I speak. And this is not my data, this is IMF data. India today is larger than Japan. So it's only the United States, China and Germany which are larger. And if we stick to what is being planned, what is being thought through, it's a matter of another 2.5 to 3 years, we would become the 3rd largest economy.